Welcome to the Thriving Mayor Show, the weekly broadcast featuring former and current mayors who are thriving, sharing their story, insight, wisdom, and viewpoint. Join us and comment on social media as we meet another of the superheroes we elect to lead the rejuvenation of our towns and cities and who serve us all. Visit www.thrivingmayor.com to learn more. Here we go. Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Hubicki. I'm the host of the Thriving Mayor Show. And this show is actually going to air on March 31st, 2021. But Mayor Aalbers and myself are pre-recording this on Friday, the week before. So Mayor Aalbers of Lloydminster, Alberta / Saskatchewan or Saskatchewan / Alberta, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity. I
just have to ask quickly before we go into any further, is it Lloydminster, Alberta, or Lloydminster, Saskatchewan, or AB/SK, or?
Well, it is usually / both, because we represent a city that sits in both provincials, both provinces. So it's really challenging. People go, well, which side are you from? Well, we're from the city of Lloydminster. It lies in both provincial provinces. So yeah. So as you drive in from the east, you'll see SK/AB on our sign, and if you drive in from the west, it'll say AB/SK.
Oh.
And I just put it on everything that I send out, as does the city, so that people know that we are a bi-provincial city.
That's awesome. And in the headline of our show, I picked AB/SK just from the alphabetical point of view, but that's awesome. And we'll get into that a little bit more as the show progresses here. I would just like to read out my territorial acknowledgement from where I am broadcasting from in Bay of Quinte. We will begin this episode by acknowledging that we are broadcasting on Aboriginal land that has been inhabited by Indigenous peoples from the beginning. As settlers, we're grateful for the opportunity to meet here, and we thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Long before today, there have been Aboriginal peoples who have been the stewards of this place. In particular, we acknowledge the traditional territory of the Anishinaabeg, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, Ojibwe, Chippewa peoples. This territory is covered by the Williams Treaty.
And I can add that we are in the heart of Treaty 6 here, and very proud of that, as well as the homeland and traditional lands of the Métis as well.
Wonderful. And it's just such an amazing legacy that our Indigenous peoples have left for us and continue to steward the land for us and show us really the way.
Absolutely.
I'll read a quick little bio for you, Mayor Aalbers, and then we can launch into getting to the meat of the matter.
All right. Sounds great.
Having experienced life in numerous communities throughout Western Canada, Mayor Aalbers and his family have called Lloydminster home since 2005. Throughout his career, Mayor Aalbers gained valuable experience in customer service and problem solving. Strong people skills and a dedicated work ethic are building blocks of this 30-plus years in the workforce. Communication and clarity are two of Mayor Aalbers' strengths in serving the community. He is serving his second term following re-election by acclamation in November 2020. Acclamation. That's always fun.
That is always interesting. It was, I'm not sure if anybody didn't want the job or they just felt that I appreciate the support of the community.
Yeah, well, it's, when you've achieved a lot of success and you're a popular mayor, it's got to be tough for people that are coming up and to throw their name in the hat, their hat in the ring. It's and I've talked to a few mayors about this, Gerald, that running for mayor, it's the top dog, and it's not like a counselor where you might get one of 7 or 12 or in some kind of ranking. Mayor, if you win, you're it, and out. You lose, you're another 4 years. So.
Yeah, it is. It's the most interesting position, but as you mentioned earlier, without having a great council and a great administration to work with, it made my job a lot easier. And it was a real pleasure to and an honor to be acclaimed and to be able to continue on and not take the foot off the gas, as they say. And I know we had 5 councillors that ran for re-election, and 4 councillors ran for re-election, and they were all re-elected, which was really terrific. Brought on a councillor that was brand new to municipal government and a councillor that had been away for 1 term. So it was really great to have a team to start off with that was energetic, that was up to speed, and those that had just joined us are getting up to speed really quick, and that's terrific. We're moving forward.
Yeah. Now, as mayor and being acclaimed and coming, like, you're not basically missing even a day. You're just, like, as you say, hitting the ground running in term 2. Are you changing any of your portfolios that you're participating in or active in, or sitting ex officio on everything? And
so not a lot of change from locally. One of the opportunities that was I guess, again, bestowed, I don't want to say bestowed on me, but I was elected the chair of the City Mayors Caucus of the Saskatchewan City Mayors. Because of our uniqueness, we work with both municipal organizations. Right. So that has added some extra duties to myself from that perspective. But I think that what I was doing in the city, I'm continuing to do. And with COVID, it's certainly changed a lot of things. So there hasn't been that added stress of needing to be away when there was something going on here, because we haven't been away, and there hasn't been a lot of things that have demanded my time here.
Right. Now, is that a 1-year term with the provincial?
That's a 2-year term, and then I guess we'll discuss it at that mayor's caucus, whether if I let my name stand again, if that's what the wishes are, or turn it over to somebody else.
And how many mayors are in that caucus?
16 mayors. So as you can appreciate, Saskatchewan has 5,000 makes a city. So we have communities that are over the 5,000 right up to Saskatoon, Regina, the 2 largest cities in Saskatchewan. At the same time, we belong to the Alberta Association of Municipalities, and I figure have my hands on one side is busy enough. I still keep up and attend as many meetings as I can. And that's the uniqueness back to our bi-provincial city. We have twice as many meetings to go to, because each association represents us on that respective side of the city. So, from that, it just really challenges us. But our staff and administration do a great job, because they've got dual reporting for both provinces and things like that. So, and then we can talk about funding a major capital project. Now, that's really a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I was watching one of your A Moment with the Mayor. It was the one about your RCMP and thanking the RCMP detachment, and it was quite curious to listen to how you explain it. There's an RCMP detachment that you retain, and then there's the RCMP detachment that Alberta retains, and then there's the RCMP detachment that Saskatchewan retains. So you've got this. You're an RCMP sandwich in the middle of the 2 provinces.
We are an RCMP sandwich, with the RCMP providing the municipal police force by contract, then having the provinces respectively provide policing up to the edge of our city. And it's a relationship, because our team here at the city does help our rural neighbors, even though they're funded by the city municipality, and as we'd hope that those members would assist our members if need be. And crime has no borders, as we found out, so it doesn't one side or the other.
Yeah. Are there any other kind of unique challenges of being in that interprovincial jurisdiction that, and not necessarily from budgeting, but just sort of like funny things that happen that?
There are. And we have what's known as the Lloydminster Charter. The Lloydminster Charter exists as a legislative act in both Saskatchewan and Alberta, and it's the only act that you'll find, I believe, in Canada that's identical in 2 provincial provinces, because it deals with our city. Yeah. So we alluded to the election last fall. We followed the Saskatchewan Election Act. Even though the bulk of our city, 60% or better, is on the Alberta side of the city. We follow the Municipal Government Act of Alberta on certain planning requirements and things like that. The financial reporting to both parties. So education, even though it's not a municipal requirement or administered by the municipality, the Saskatchewan Education Act is applied across the entire city. If you graduate from the 2 high schools on the Alberta side of the city, you'll come away with the Saskatchewan diploma.
Yeah.
So there is many different pieces and items in that perspective that people often wonder about. But when it comes to provincial jurisdiction on other items, such as licensing vehicles and paying income tax, it is where you call your place of residence. So
Right.
if you own a vehicle and you work in Alberta, but you live in Saskatchewan, you'll need to have Saskatchewan plates on your vehicle and vice versa. And so even the provincial folks and then the federal even gets more interesting. I can tell you that.
Yeah. So in Ontario here, we have Service Ontario offices. So if I go to get my new license plate sticker, I go to Service Ontario in the town I'm in. So in Lloydminster, is there a Service Alberta and a Service Saskatchewan outlet for?
Basically, there's they privatized in Alberta, so the registry's office is private, in private hands, but that's where you would go. In Saskatchewan, there is SGI authorized brokers, I guess, or authorized agents for Saskatchewan government insurance.
Oh, interesting. Do you know of any other well, obviously not by provincial, but by county or maybe by state or by country mayors?
Not that I know of, because even in Kansas City in the United States, I guess it's split by the river. There's Kansas City, I believe, Missouri, and Kansas City, Kansas. So they're separated. So the existence of our community is very unique. Flin Flon, Manitoba, does have a subdivision on the Saskatchewan side. It's not a separate entity as per se, that nothing like what we see here. Main Street is going north-south is what's known as the fourth meridian, the dividing border between Saskatchewan and Alberta, and it's 150 feet out my window, and we watch traffic go by each and every day.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think there's a small town maybe in New Brunswick or Nova Scotia that straddles the international border.
There is, as a matter of fact, it's St. Andrews, New Brunswick.
Oh, okay.
And there is a community on the other side in Maine, and a river, I believe, if it's the St. Clair River, if I remember correctly, from that perspective, that
You're
divides.
better geography than me.
Well, I had two family members attend university there, so I should remember that, I guess.
Yeah. And I guess one of the big questions that people are really wondering, are you a Riders or an Eskimo fan?
Well, I was born and raised in Saskatchewan, so I think it's pretty clear what color that we support.
Bleeding green.
Bleeding green.
Oh, yeah. It's really disappointing that we didn't get CFL this year, but hopefully
very much so. So Saskatchewan has one for the longest time professional team, and that was the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And I know people often wonder, well, why do you cheer for the Riders? Well, it doesn't matter if you're riding a tractor, a combine, or you're sitting down in an office and you have the radio on. The only thing you're going to get is Rider football. We now have a lacrosse team in Saskatoon, which is terrific. But they just don't have an NHL team like Edmonton and Calgary. They don't have two teams to split the province, so it's everybody's all for one.
Yeah, the old joke would be or you didn't have a hockey team like Toronto. But they're actually not doing too bad this year.
Go there, there's fans for every team everywhere. So
I spent 3 years doing my master's out in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and boy, the jokes that they have about us Easterners. And even though Winnipeg's the center of Canada, obviously, but we're not that far removed from the center. But,
still the coldest place in the world is the corner of Portage in Maine.
In
a windy day. So
it was a great place to go to school, and the people were fantastic.
Absolutely,
loved the people in Winnipeg, and all the prairies. Been all across the prairies. I have not been to Lloydminster yet.
Well, the invitation is the carpet. It'll be rolled out for you, and we'll look forward to you making your appearance, so you can get a picture of standing on the border with 1 foot in each province.
That'll be awesome. And that brings up another point that's kind of a unique, one of the unique experiences I'm gaining hosting the Thriving Mayor Show is that two of your colleagues have been on the show, one in Alberta, one in Saskatchewan, Heather Kohlberg and Drumheller, and Fraser Tolmie in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. And they both spoke very, very highly of you, Gerald, and suggested that you'd be a really, really great guest to be on the show. So
both great.
Shout out.
Both great individuals. Mayor Heather, it was always great. We're looking forward to the next contest, and I'll have to admit, if she didn't tell you, she lost, we won. It was a pleasure to host her here. And
can we? Oh, this sounds interesting. Can we get some more details on this?
Well, we had a contest going on and participated with several other communities, Canada's most friendly rider city. And we were able to pull a few more votes. So Heather had the opportunity to ride one of our street sweepers following our annual parade. And I was encouraged to give her a tougher job, but I thought it was a great opportunity to see the city and meet our staff. We were able to host her and show her our community, and very proud of it. So she's a great sport, and she has a great community. We lived near Drumheller for part of that, as we talked about living across the prairies. We've lived very close to Drumheller. So great city, her a great family. I've known her family for a long time before I met Heather in the business world. So that was terrific.
Yeah.
She worked in the office, and she was in the front end that her brothers and dad played.
Yeah,
and Mayor Fraser told me he's quite a character. I can't compete with Bruce. We've tried. We've got the biggest border markers in the world, but we have nobody to compare to like he has with his moose. So Fraser, thanks for the endorsement. It's always great working with you.
Yeah, and he's doing his YouTube videos now, and teaming up with Skip the Dishes and John Ham, his pen pal. So
I don't know what he's going to do next. Like the spa, and the notoriety that community has. I've had the opportunity to tour the tunnels. They did a great job, and what a wonderful experience, and to grow that community. And he's got a great community to work with.
Yeah, awesome. Gerald, what motivated you to get into politics? I know you've been in consulting, and you working with a lot of people during your career. But tell us a little bit about, was it a family connection or some other kind of light bulb moment that went off, and how you got into it? I'm sure there's a good story.
How did I get into it? Well, my parents both at different times served on a rural municipality where I grew up on that municipal council. So I watched my dad quite young get got dragged out of bed, if you want to use that term, by an angry farmer that had a bad experience with a road early on in life. And then my mom served years later after I'd left home. I was at a point in the community was feeling very unheard. And I guess that was the term I'll use. There was a communication breakdown, I think, that between council and the community, and that we started talking to some people and asking questions, and I started asking questions and wasn't getting a lot of answers, and that kind of concerned me. And I've always dibbled in politics a little bit from the sidelines, but never stayed in one place long enough to make a significant difference. And, if you'd asked me a year before I ran for mayor, would you ever consider running for mayor? I'd say no. But that changed when a few people approached me, and I sat down with my better half, and she said, are you sure? And I said, yeah, I think so. And talked to my employer, because, of course, when you're working for someone, you need to ensure that they're basically on side and willing to work with you. And we put together some campaign materials and started knocking on doors and visiting with people, and had some people drop some brochures door to door. And that was 2016, and it was a very tense night. And when the dust settled, we won an election, and the world changed.
And congratulations, that's fantastic. And the when you mentioned that to your wife, she was immediately supportive right away and said, yeah, we can do this. And yeah,
she was a little bit of like pros and cons. So I went back to work, my day job, because somebody had to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And she did she started setting up the advertising and brochures. And I came home and she says, I ordered some signs. And I said, really? And we talked about dollars and cents. And then she told me, and I just about fell out of my chair. And she said, I found a great deal in Canada. Tried to appreciate supporting as local as we could, and had most of my stuff produced locally. But there's a few signs that we were able to get out of Winnipeg, Manitoba. Yeah. And the price was terrific. So we were able to get that many more signs out. And, it's always interesting when you're not born and raised somewhere running for a campaign, as I found out, because it was a name, face recognition.
Yeah.
And it worked.
And run us through election day, election night a little bit. Was it a pretty hotly contested campaign and election, or was it pretty clear sailing, do you think?
I think it was a very interesting campaign. Going back to 2016, there was three candidates running for council. An individual that had been on council as a councillor. The mayor had decided not to run again, so there was this newbie, a councillor that was running to be mayor,
Mm-hmm.
and then an individual that had been on the ballot before for mayor. Then we had 21 individuals seeking 6 council positions. So,
Wow.
yeah, it was an interesting election. People had a lot of things to say. Certainly, the candidates debate was really interesting because the 3 mayor candidates got up there and we had our opportunity, and then they turned it up to the 21. Well, you can imagine that, the same people were in the room. So it did add a little flair to it from that perspective, that there was a lot of views out and about being discussed. And then election night, I can't tell you that the excitement, the adrenaline, but also being realistic. I had 2 speeches written because you have to be prepared, as I found out.
Mm-hmm.
There's the speech if you win, and there'll have to be a speech that you want to give to people that if you were unsuccessful. And that, it gave me a whole different perspective of being on a ballot and having, like I say, watched numerous provincial and federal elections. I went, wow, that's got to be the feeling those individuals go through. And I tip my hat to anyone that puts their name on a ballot for election, because that is something that, again, what do you take for training? And I was asked during the election, so what do you have for education to become a mayor? I go, well, I've got these experiences and I've got this education, but it wasn't deemed to go. You don't go to mayor school until after you get elected mayor, as I found out, which I was glad to be able to attend. So
run us through as the results are coming back.
Well, that particular night back in 2016, it's got a lot of interest because they were planning on posting it on the city website, and because people were continuously checking on the city website, they crashed the website.
Oh,
so we had rented space across from City Hall at the Senior Center. And again, there's things you think about. You don't want too big a room because if it's nice to have lots of people there, but if people don't show up, you have no control. So the media was there, so they dashed over to City Hall. Meantime, and the Facebook came back up, or somebody put it on the Facebook somehow. I think that's how they launched it. And somebody yelled it out in the room, and the room just lit up. And it just, to be surrounded by family and friends is just what an experience it was. And, the joy, we had 3, our children were at university, and so they were not with us. So, but my wife's family was able to join us. My mom was able to join us. So, it was a really exciting opportunity, and people that I've come to know and appreciate in this community very much. So it was great to be surrounded by supporters and people that were excited, and council members, as they were elected, started dropping in and saying hi, and, from that perspective, because I knew some of the council members, and some of the council members I did not even know who got elected. So you start with that fresh slate, and away you go.
Now, you still haven't told us if it was a close race.
It was not very much of a close race. I appreciate the support the community showed me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Always modest. That and you mentioned about you take your hat off and applaud people that put their name on a ballot, and so do I. I mean, I don't think I could do it. It's you got to put yourself out there and be transparent, and the public scrutiny and win or lose. It's like, it's tough, and hats off to all of you politicians, and especially mayors. I think it's such a powerful mindset that you bring to the decision to run, and then the campaign election, and obviously, as you say, learning how to be a mayor.
The challenge that we see today is that, I'm very fortunate that, the social media piece can be really challenging for individuals as well as the community itself, right? Because it's really hard to get information out to people, even though we have so many different avenues.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a debater on Facebook or Twitter because
Mm-hmm.
that seems to be a challenge that I'd be more than glad to defend our decisions and explain it. And I really hope I'm more explaining rather than defending, providing information. And I think that's one of the challenges that we have, is helping people get as much information as we can, and be realistic today that we have the internet, which is a very powerful tool, but it can be, as I said, an enemy. But also having the ability to chat with people in COVID has really put a dent in that, because we went to what we call a Your Voice concept, where we invite people to come in and sit down, have some tables and pots of coffee, and sit down and have a visit. Let's have a chat and try and make sure people are informed. We usually have some display boards up so that we can explain what's going on, be it the budget, be it being the construction work that's going to go on in the city, or something, to make sure people have that opportunity to have those thorough discussions and come away informed and feel like they've been heard, and also that they know the information. It's not secondhand, because it's challenging sometimes, that secret of people standing in a circle and sharing the secret. And by the time it gets to the end, holy, it changed dramatically.
Yeah. And are you still able to do this during COVID?
We've done some online things that way, but it's been extremely challenging. And I can tell you, for myself, being a bit of an extrovert, it's hard not to be able to get out and chat with people, shake their hand. So many activities. I'm very proud of our community, and to be honored to be the mayor and lead different things and be involved. And we just haven't been able to do that. So it's been tough. And but I'm zooming into school classrooms when I'm asked to join them, about being mayor, and some of the views from government and the politics of that day, and things like that. Rotary meetings, where I'm at Rotary meetings as often as I can be, and sometimes being a speaker. So it's, they are there. It's just so different, because now it's 6-7 hours in front of a screen talking to people.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your a moment with the mayor, and what the genesis, what idea for that was, and how you pick your topics.
So that idea came from the local Labine, as the publication, and it's printed weekly. And the editor reached out to me as I was being elected, and said, a former mayor had participated in this in a little different format, and he says, would you be interested in writing and sharing your thoughts? And I said, sure. And really, the topic usually comes to me on a Saturday or early Sunday morning, and Sunday afternoon is I try and, during the summer, sit on the deck, take in a little sun, and write that article, and just pen whatever's on my mind or on the citizens' mind. And often I get questions asked, and how do I convey a message as broad? And that's where the moment with the mayor came from, and it's been terrific. And I've had most of it. I usually take July and August off. And I've had 1 or 2 councillors or 3 councillors fill in when either I was away or said, hey, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to throw some comments. And I absolutely had a call today from one of our councillors, and he's working on something that he'd like to share. And I think that's great, because it's not, I am the leader, but I also have 6 great people that sit around a table that make decisions every council meeting and are out in the public as well. And they have the opportunity to express their views, and I appreciate supporting that.
Yeah, it's a super powerful platform, and one of my favorite sayings is leadership is a team sport.
It absolutely is. I appreciate that they look to me, but I also look to them. And we do a rotation every 2 months of deputy mayor from the 6 councillors. So everybody gets a turn to sit beside the mayor, represent the mayor if I'm unable to attend a function, or speak on behalf of the city if need be.
Yeah, that's great. I've gone through a few of them, and I'll put the link into our show notes as well, so people can access those and have a look. So say I maybe I don't live in Lloydminster, but somewhere in Canada, and I'm thinking about running for mayor. What's some advice that you could share with me to either convince me or help me to look at it more realistically?
Well, certainly your life becomes somebody else's life from that perspective. Everybody will think that you have time available for them, and you have to balance that. I think another perspective is that, if you're going to do it, I would say you've got to be prepared to be all in. And I talked about my wife. She's all in, and that's very fortunate. Since our family's growing and moved out of the house, that allows me that capability to do 5 or 6 events on a Saturday and just make an appearance as people have asked. And that's, each mayor is different that way, but that's something that people have really been receptive to. The other item, I guess, is that are you prepared to open yourself up to that perspective and on the public? And again, being stopped anywhere on the street, at the service station, Sunday at church, if that's where you're at, it happens everywhere. And you just have to, you work with people. Sometimes if you're in a rush, just say, if you'd like to chat with me a little more, I'd like to make an appointment with you and come by the City Hall. The other piece is that, from my perspective, it's a full-time job. I still dibble in the oil and gas industry when I get the chance on a Friday or a Thursday that it's not too busy around here and I can plan my days. And it hasn't been very much in the oil and gas industry, I'm afraid to say, this past year. But the bottom line is, if you're a small town mayor, as I refer to it, it's not a full-time position, I really throw my hat off to them, because I go, wow, how do you balance running your business or being an employee, however you're structured, and maintaining being mayor and doing the things we do? Because I can attend meetings during the day and not have a problem, still have some evening meetings and make those work. But to try and balance a full-time job and a small town mayor or village, because everybody still has the same issues. You still want to know, you want clean drinking water, you want your sewer dealt with, you want your roads graded and straightened out and snow removed and garbage hauled and those kind of things, as well as all the beautiful cultural and recreation facilities every community has to offer based on their capabilities. So, it's a rounded job, I can tell you. It's if you think you know it all, I think you'll find out there's a lot of things to know. And I'll leave you with this last one. As hard as you work at it, you'll never please everybody. So if you can please the majority of people and hopefully explain to those that don't agree, that still you can leave them with the facts of why the decision was made and why he went down either the left side of the road or the right side of the road, whatever where the road was. And one of our former councillors, a gentleman that had served as councillor, mayor, councillor again when we were first elected and didn't run this last election, said there's 3 choices to a decision. There's the right answer, the wrong answer, and the political answer. So I'll leave you with that as well.
Yeah, so true. And you'd mentioned about basically having to open up your life. And when George Cuff was on the show, he had mentioned about one of his friends who also was a former mayor, I think, in Alberta. And then he became a member of provincial parliament and then a member of federal parliament. And when he was the mayor, everybody stopped him on the street. And as soon as he became a provincial member and then a federal member, nobody even recognized him anymore.
Absolutely, because he wasn't on the street every day like being his mayor as being the mayor. So no, there's no question. And there's another individual that's got just an immense amount of wealth, is George Cuff. A great deal of respect for him, and looking forward to his next book that he brings out.
Yeah, he's amazing resource for sure. Gerald, you talked a little bit about heritage and culture. I was reading in some of the posts on the website, and you just mentioned recreation, parks and recreation, and I'm a firm believer that it's these kinds of things that really make a community home. And I'm wondering, do you have any plans in the coming months or years to kind of celebrate a little bit more the culture, heritage, the recreation, parks and things for the community?
Absolutely. I think that the first one is we're moving our library from its downtown location that was in a basement of a downtown business complex to the mall ground level, where they'll be, and that's been in the making for 26 years. So I know it's one of those things, you talk about what you do and what other people did or didn't do, and it was a discussion piece. And certainly the library is a very important part of the community. So we'll be opening a new library from that perspective later this year. From the perspective of culture and history, we have a very unique situation from the perspective that it's a diverse facility, or was, because we had outdoor displays on oil and gas, agriculture, dating back to the bar colonists that helped settle this area and created this city. Reverend Lloyd brought 2,500 people, I understand, west from England, and they settled here, and that's what started the roots of Lloydminster. And
Wow.
there's that history. Then you have the Indigenous history. Then we've got a very strong diversification of culture and history. So you try and meld that all together. So we are in the process of building a new facility on a 10-year lease from a business to lease space to get a new culture and science center, as it's referred to. That will give us the ability to display some of that history we have. It's not going to be even close to everything, but it'll certainly get us started, give us the ability to have traveling exhibits. And what had happened was we had a collage of buildings that were attached, some dating back that nobody could put the date on, and some issues, as you can appreciate. So we've tried to say, okay, we need to come up with a plan that will develop over the next 10 years and hopefully get to a permanent building on that site. But we are going to have a building with 6 major themes: and Indigenous, the bar colonists, agriculture, oil and gas, and the history of our community, wrapped into one portion with the ability to host traveling exhibits, because we certainly sent our fair share of individuals to the First and Second World War. And, the National War Museum does some great displays and celebrations of life and the sacrifice made. And we want to host those. There's a lot of other displays that'll be traveling through. At the same time, we're going to keep up with a great pottery club and team over there, as well as the arts that our team at the city staff are providing. But that's just one piece of our culture. We have a beautiful theater that we can't wait to get using again once COVID allows.
Yeah.
It's 550 seats. And we've had performers from around the world tell us it's one of the finest facilities they've ever performed in. Just excellent sound. Again, it was built with the community. We've got rinks, and they've been used sparingly, as the word I'll use, because there have been people on the ice. Our BioClean Aquatic Center is staying within the COVID rules, but again, people would love to be able to fill that up to capacity and go, but we're working at a smaller capacity that we're allowed. We've got trail systems that people, I know the bicycles are already out in my neighborhood. It's great to see the kids wearing their helmets and getting out. So everybody's primed here to get going. And we're on the edge of beautiful lakes, numerous lakes for water recreation, as well as some great fishing, as well as we've just got access to just numerous things outdoors. If you're an aquatic enthusiast, camping, lots of campers. And, if you'd like to get on a horse, there's even some places you can go ride a horse and have a great time. So, yeah, we live as close to paradise as we can be.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And my last question was going to be, what makes you happy and what are you grateful for? But I think you kind of nailed that one on the head.
Well, we've got a great city that, agriculture and oil and gas are the backbone, followed by some government and business that supports every one of those industries, as well as other businesses. We're trying to grow businesses just like everybody else. It's been really tough on our local industries and business for various things. But, these folks, be it agriculture, oil and gas, we've got some of the best inventors in the world. They've dealt with this, what we call heavy oil, asphaltenes. And it's incredible to see what they've done. How agriculture, we've got great cattle producers. We're sending genetics around the world. So we've got some richness. We've got business people that are generational. We've got 3-4 generations that have made businesses continue to go. And again, that's not an easy feat, from what I understand, just coming from the family that I come from. We do some business together, but it's not always the easiest. So there's various pieces to the puzzle. Having a young community, that's the other piece. We've got a young community. And there's energy, and that's what makes this place chime, I believe, is the energy, the entrepreneurship, the excitement to make it better and to move it forward. And that's just makes my job really easy. When I can go around and shake hands, talk to people, and see them smiling, makes my day. And I'm looking forward to that, hopefully really soon.
Wow, and that must bring a lot of confidence and energy to the other mayors on your Saskatchewan Mayor's Caucus, and obviously to your community. Nobody ran against you in 2020, and to be acclaimed. And you mentioned about smiling, Gerald, and that's one thing I really like to encourage us all is to be first. And when you were walking down the street, is be first to smile, be first to say hello, be first to open a door for somebody 6 feet apart, obviously, but is just to be first. And when we all do that, we're happy, people happy, and it really helps to bring all of the energy levels up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think if we can be as positive as we can be with the challenges that we face, we'll get through this all together, and we'll come out on the other side much better. Wonderful,
wonderful, wonderful. Gerald, thank you so much on this Friday afternoon to share your time with us on the show. Really, really appreciate it. Wonderful interview. I can't wait to get out and visit you in Lloydminster, Alberta, and Saskatchewan.
Absolutely. If you're coming from the other side, you'll be in Lloydminster, Saskatchewan first, and we're looking forward to your visit, Michael. Like I say, I'll help you get over to the border markers just outside my door, and we'll get some pictures for you, so you've got a very memorable experience.
Awesome. Thank you again, Gerald, and bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks very much.
Thank you for joining the Thriving Mayor Show. Make sure to like and share, and tell your friends and colleagues. Mayors are awesome and are the change agents to enhance the quality of living for over 80% of us. Remember what Coach Wooden said, you cannot live a perfect day without doing something for someone who can never repay you. Much love and peace. Until next time.